Hey everyone, Brennan Wall here with another edition of Film Talk here on GameItAll.com. With me today we got writer slash actor of the new movie The Horde, Paul Logan.
How you doing, guys?
Welcome. Um, so right off the bat, I'm just going to ask you the how can people get their hands on the film The Horde?
The Horde comes out everywhere on May 6th. It's going to be on VOD everywhere, so it's going to be on DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, Fios, iTunes. You can pre-order it right now. Vudu, you can pre-order it right now. It's going to be on Google Play, PlayStation. If you go to thehordemovie.com, there's a whole laundry list of every cable and satellite and VOD carrier that's carrying it. So it's been picked up by so many. We're very fortunate, and so everyone's going to get to check it out. And then obviously the DVD will follow up. Probably maybe like 6 to 8 weeks after that, there'll be a DVD release, and then it's going to go foreign, worldwide. So it'll be out there.
Perfect. So thehordemovie.com is the best way to check it out, guys, for all the outlets, I guess is the word.
Yeah, there's a whole laundry list of the icons, that are carrying it. So we were fortunate. So many people said yes. We're really, really thankful.
Awesome. So the Horde. So describe us then the plot a little bit, and maybe like your character specifically.
All right. The Horde is. I wrote the movie because I wanted to do a vehicle, obviously, for myself. I do a lot of action movies. I've been doing martial arts since I was 13. So I wanted to do an action film, and anytime I watch a horror film, because the Horde is literally 50% action, 50% horror. It's a hybrid, and that really hadn't been done. Most horror films are the same, and I was watching horror films, so I decided to write this because, again, most horror films are the same. It's a bunch of kids that go into the woods, the killer or the killers hunt them down one at a time, and usually one girl gets away. We've seen it a million times, but you've seen it a million times because that's what the horror audience wants, expects, and enjoys. So I thought, what would happen if you had the same scenario? A bunch of kids out in the woods on a nature photography trip with their teacher, who happens to be my girlfriend in the movie. A bunch of cannibalistic mutants, killers hunting them down. But you had one person in their group who was an ex-Navy SEAL, who was Special Forces, who could fight back and turn the hunters into the hunted. So you have all the boo scares and gore of a horror film, but when the guy comes out at me with the axe or the saw or something, it turns into this really cool action sequence. So it's not just a bunch of kids running through the woods, scared, who were victims. You have this one character in there who can fight back. Because I always thought, like, if you had, you're watching these horror films, like, what would happen if you had like a John Rambo or somebody in there, who could actually turn the tables on a Michael Myers or someone like that? That would be cool, and it's never been done, and we just did it. And I put enough action in there to satiate the action audience, and enough blood and guts and intensity and boo scares for the horror audience, and kind of wrapped it around a love story too, which is pretty much the depths that this guy would go through to save the woman he loves. You asked about the character. My character, Jon Crenshaw, is a SEAL, or actually was a SEAL. He was the head of a SEAL team, and going on all these, ridiculously dangerous missions, and coming back to this girl that he's fallen in love with. And now he's given up the life. He's quit the SEALs. He's stopped doing all the missions because he wants to marry her. He wants to settle down with her. And that's the whole thing. He's not that guy anymore. And the funny thing about the character is that he's not comfortable not being that guy, to use double negative properly. When he's out in the middle of combat and, and the missions and doing all the dangerous shit, that's his wheelhouse. That's what he's used to. At the beginning of the movie, he's practicing, a proposal speech to his girlfriend, and he can't do it. He's looking in the mirror trying to figure out how to ask this girl to marry him. And, that's awkward to him. Normal life, going to, Starbucks and walking to the grocery store, that's the hard part for him these days. Going into, a firefight, with bullets flying over his head, that's the easy part. So, he's trying to be that guy now, and that's the whole thing. At the beginning of the movie, she gets him to go along, because he's going to propose. She comes home and says that she's taking a class on a nature photography trip. She's a teacher at the local college, And the trip got moved up to this weekend, which is when I was going to secretly propose to her. So she's like, look, you love the woods. Why don't you come with us? So that's how I kind of get roped into it. I figured I'll propose out there. It'll be romantic and it'll be great. And it is. Everything's beautiful out there until, these creatures kind of attack and all hell breaks loose.
I noticed the first half almost sets it up like it's going to be a regular horror movie. I mean, you get the sense that the main character is not like a screaming banshee, but it sets up like it's going to be a one by one, people are going to get killed off type thing. Also, was the name Jon a conscious decision?
I pay homage to Rambo a lot in this. I mean, I grew up loving Sly and loving the Sly movies, and the reason I started working out and changed my body. I grew up a skinny kid, who got picked on every day, and graduated high school my height and 145 pounds. So I, just got a poster of Stallone and put it on my dorm room door. So I want to look like that, and so yeah, I pay homage to that a lot. And the Jon just came out. I was just like, I had the Crenshaw thing, and I was like, oh, I went through a couple of things, and I'm like, what? Let's just go with Jon Crenshaw. It's a good, strong, leading character name. So I went with that. But yeah, it's again, I grew up loving Sly in those movies, and he inspired me. And if I can inspire some kids somewhere to, try to, not be bullied or change himself, and that would be my goal.
And it's interesting you said that too, because you're not the first person I've talked to who's talked about Stallone being an inspiration, and not even necessarily just for the fact that he's so, big and tough and everything and strong, but just for the fact that he almost is Rocky in a way. Like he's an underdog. He's been an underdog for a lot of his life, right?
Absolutely, and my career, my path has kind of followed that as well. What I always loved about Sly's characters, where they all had this vulnerability. The Rockies, the Rambos, all these characters had this, you weren't absolutely sure they were going to win. Where a lot of whereas a lot of Schwarzenegger's characters, they were always seeing these unstoppable, Terminator, Commando type things. Whereas like your Rambos and your Rockies, he was going up against these insurmountable odds and had to fight his way out, and that's what I wanted to do with with my characters. I love that. It's I've been a huge comic book fan since I was a kid. I'm a huge Batman freak. I want to be Batman when I grow up. But it's it's that same mentality. Just what will one man do to overcome evil and these odds and save people? And that's kind of what I wanted to bring to this movie. Is it's I kind of wrapped this whole thing. It's funny if you think about it in a love story, kind of like if you think about Die Hard. Die Hard was a love story. If you really rip it apart, it was John McClane trying to get back to his estranged wife living across the country, and the thing that was in the way was Hans Gruber and a tower full of terrorists. And that's what I try to do with this as well. It's like this guy will go through anything to save the woman he loves, and the beginning of the movie. He's gearing up to go with them. He's about to bring his Beretta, and she's like, "Honey, what's that?" I'm like, "Well, back in the SEALs, we call this a gun." And and she's like, "Look, you're not that guy anymore. We're not going to stop ISIS. You were going into the woods. So I leave the gun behind, and I'm really trying not to be that guy anymore." And halfway or the third into the movie, when all hell breaks loose, I had that switch clicks again, and I have to become that guy to save everybody. And that's what this whole thing is about: is embracing, the character's core, and that's that fighting machine that he has to become that buzzsaw to go through all these people just to save the kids and the woman he loves. And I think that came across in this, how much this guy cares for her and how much he will endure, and take out whatever is in his way to save them, her and everyone.
Were you also a big fan of like the older like martial arts type movies, like Bruce Lee and all that stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, Bruce Lee. What else can you say about the man? He paved the way for a bunch of the action heroes that paved the way for guys like me. I mean, Bruce Lee was amazing. But then you had your Jean-Claude's and your Seagals back in the day. I mean, both of those guys were, I mean, they were the shit back then, and Sly and Arnold, they made me, they inspired me. They made me want to be an action hero. They made me want to work out. They made me want to just, push harder in anything I did, because I'm not happy with mediocrity in anything I do. And it's that same mentality that these men, Sly, Arnold, Jean-Claude, or these characters that they portray, I want to try to bring that into my characters and also into my everyday life, to try to be the best at anything I can do, and, not give up, and just, to do anything it takes work. And, that's what a lot of these movies, like the Rambos and these action films, they show that these guys, have to just go through hell to accomplish a goal. And that's in anything in life. If you want to do things proficiently, you got to put the time and effort in.
How did you first get the writing/acting bug?
The acting bug came before the writing bug.
Okay.
It's funny. I got into film almost accidentally. I grew up in New York, born and raised in New York, and got my degree in biochem in New York. Came out to Los Angeles in '93 to go to chiropractic school. Finished that, passed all 4 parts of my boards, had my clinic hours to put in. Was about to start clinic, got my first film, the lead role in this movie called Killers. And, acting was always something that was kind of in the back of my mind. I took a bunch of acting courses as electives in undergrad. And the way I got into it was I was at the pool at my apartment complex, probably reading some chiropractic books and tanning, multitasking. And this woman sat down next to me, and she's like, "Hi, are you an actor?" And we started talking. I said, "No, it's always something I wanted to do." She's a manager. She's like, "Well, would you want me to get some pictures taken of you and start sending you out?" I'm like, "Sure." She got a couple of pictures taken, started sending me out. I got an audition for this film, Killers, which is my first film. The lead, I got to the lead bad guy role in that, and things just started, steamrolling from there. I took a leave of absence and haven't looked back, and led to a bunch of other action films. I was on Days of Our Lives for almost 3 years, which was great. It was got a huge fan base. So fans was so amazing. It's to this day, I'll do a film where I'll post something on my social media, and I'll get fans from Days, or I'll be doing a signing somewhere. I was doing a signing in Germany, and someone was coming up with because I was out there signing for a movie Code Red that they did. So they came up with a Code Red DVD, but they also came up with these magazines, from pictures that I never even saw from Days of Our Lives. I'm like, that's so cool idea. So friends are so great and so loyal, and it's nice that they kind of followed me and transitioned over. I did Friends, I did Angel, I did Smith with Ray Liotta back, when he was in that show, and it was just great, and the soap thing was great. I loved it. It was a bunch of exposure. It was, steady work, but I love doing action movies, and there wasn't much action there, and so
no, not a whole lot of stunt work in Days of Our Lives.
Like of martial arts action, a lot of other types of action, but
yeah.
Like I said, the soap thing was great. I loved it, and it was a good chunk of my career right there. And then done a bunch of movies for Sci-Fi Channel after that, and a lot of action stuff. And I started in between gigs though. You're like, you're waiting for your agent manager to kind of get stuff to you. I was like, oh, I'm not going to sit around. I'm going to actually maybe start writing some. I've always had great ideas for scripts, so I just started writing a bunch of them. I've written 6 scripts now, and The Horde was the first one that I wrote. And it was actually the last one that I wrote, because I wrote it purposefully to be done on a smaller budget. And we did it, and it looks amazing. I'm so happy. I wrote it pretty quickly too. I wrote that one in about 6 weeks. So yeah, when it came out.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like it has a small budget. So I mean,
thank you. And that's my team. I was so fortunate on this to. There was a production company that was just getting on the way. It's called 313 Films, and it's an all women production company, and they read the script. We talked. They saw my vision. I had put together a sizzle reel, with other from other films, and just some stuff that we filmed for me to kind of show what the film was going to look like. And they loved the idea, and they funded it, and it was great because a lot of times when you get something done, you're kind of handcuffed. You have these constraints. Okay, you can do this, but you have to use this person, this person, this person. You have to use this location. You have to use and you kind of have to take your vision and mold it with these constraints. And this was just the opposite. They were, so happy with it and let me pick my team, and we put a great team. I got my buddy Jared Cohen to direct it. He did an amazing job, and Jared had recommended Laura Beth Love, who was our director of photography. And she was the one, her team. I mean, you saw the scene, the setting, everything just looked beautiful. It was just an amazing world to play in. And it brought exactly what I wrote on the page onto the screen. Earl's workshop, and and the outdoor stuff, and just the woods and the cabins and the lake, and everything looked beautiful in a creepy fucking way, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It was picturesque, but there's this bad shit going on. So yeah, and my team again in pre-production, production, and post-production, the guys who did the editing, the music, everything. It like you said, it just has that big budget Michael Bay Friday the 13th remake feel. That's the kind of the color palette we were looking at. That really looked nice, and we kind of pulled that and emulated that, and it looks good. It's a fun ride.
So you have a cameo from I guess you'd call it martial arts guy, champion all around the world. Don the Dragon Wilson shows up. Yeah.
Don is great. Don has a really, really cool, pivotal cameo in this. It's just a great thing. I had originally written that role for that little cameo for Michael Berryman, and because Berryman was like a bad guy in these horror films, so you'd see him come on and you think, oh, this guy's a bad guy. And ended up scheduling stuff that didn't work out, but I had done. I was doing a signing in Germany for Code Red when we would do that, and I was at a table next to Don for a couple of days, and we became friends. And great guy. I love Don. And when this came up, I'm like, how cool would it be for Don to come in and play this role? So I called Don up and I said, hey, buddy, can you come in? And he took a peek at the scene and was like, absolutely. Came in, knocked it out of the park, and he was a rock star, and it was great. It was so cool to have him in there for that. It's very, very anti-Don. You think Don comes in and it's going to be like this giant fight scene, but Don just came in and just killed him with his acting chops, and it was cool. I love that scene. It's just a really cool scene that kind of sets the tone for what's going to happen a little bit in the woods later. So
it throws you off a bit because you don't really know what he's doing there, because it's like a creepy dude, right? Or it's supposed to be a creepy dude.
And I turn around again, and he's like ghosted out of there. I'm like, all right. So
you also work with two pretty big horror icons. Costas Mandylor from the later Saw movies, right. And many other movies, and also Bill Moseley, who's been in a million different horror movies. What was it like working with them, and how did you get them on board?
And also Vernon Wells,
Yes.
And Vernon. Again, when I was putting this together, I was so fortunate to have a bunch of friends, and I had done signing again where I did Chiller signing in Jersey, and was hanging out with Costas, and I was telling him about the script, and after that, this is even before I got it funded. And he was telling him about it, showing him the sizzle reel and stuff, and he's like, dude, that's great. So when the time came, I called up Costas, and I'm like, Costas, remember what that script I was telling you about? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, it's green lit. He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah. I go, you want to come play? He's like, absolutely. So, and the same thing, called up Vernon and sent him the script. And the funny thing about the Vernon role, Earl, the butcher, who was kind of like the food preparer of these cannibals. So when he's cutting up, you walk into his workshop and there's all just like hanging limbs and just chunks of random people. And so when I wrote that character, though, Earl didn't say a word. He was just eerily creepy silent, like you'd want him to just fucking say something, and then I was like, and I gave Vernon the script and said, who would you be interested in playing? And he's like, you know what? I would love to play Earl. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, all right, give me a day. And I'm like, I got Vernon here. I'm not going to have Vernon be silent. And wrote that dialogue for him, and he just hit it out of the park. I mean, he was just, you saw that. It was just, his stuff was just like uber creepy. And so very happy with that. And Bill, I think I called one person, but I didn't know Bill personally at the time. And now Bill, and I are friends, and he's just such a great guy. I called someone who knew Bill and got him the script, and he read it and absolutely loved the script. And he comes in as Jacob, and he did a great job. He sets the tone for this thing, and the three of those guys, great friends, great actors. Just totally brought the characters that I wrote vividly to life. I mean, with just everything that I could have wanted and more. And pros just, again, came in, hit it out of the park, and we had fun on set. I always have, I always have fun on set. No matter what set I'm on, I always try to have fun. And these guys were, it was great, because one minute we're all just like intense, and just, the next minute we're just like, laughing our asses off at, someone making a joke. So it's great when it's like that, because you get great material and everyone has fun doing it, So those three guys. And also, I don't want to leave out, I brought in my friend Matt Willig. He's, he plays the big bad. He plays Stone in the movie. I'm 6 foot. He's 6'8". He makes me look small. And he was in, Concussion, We're the Millers. He did an amazing job. And also Nestor Serrano comes in as the sheriff. It was another buddy of mine. And these guys all came in, read the script and just boom, yes. And so we put together a great team there. And I'll talk about the kids if you want as well, because they were rock stars as well. But that kind of, I guess, answers the question about the heavy hitters from the horror films.
Yeah. And the thing about Costas too, I've never talked to him, but I just from hearing him in other interviews and stuff, he seems like he's a very humble guy. Like the people that asked him about the Saw movies, for example, and he says his answer all the time is, well, I'm just glad I didn't ruin them.
Yeah. And you know what? He was the same way with this. We would shoot some stuff, and I was, Costas was on another project, so he didn't get to see some of this stuff right afterwards. And he would call me up and he's like, "How's my stuff look?" And I'm like, "Dude, you just killed it. Thank you so much." And because he's the lead bad guy in this. It's he's and Matt is his enforcer. So it's like Costas just killed it. He was a rock star, but like I said, everybody did. And I want to give also the kids the proper accolades. The ones who came in and played the students. And I knew that this film would either succeed or fail greatly on the part of the kids, because if as good as everyone else is, a lot of these horror films, the kids that are the victims or the group that goes into the woods, if they're bad actors and they just run through the woods like and just get hacked to pieces, it turns into this campy thing, which it says campy horror. It is what it is, but that's what I didn't want this to be. I wanted this to be real, visceral, kind of like that, like the Friday the 13th remake or the Texas Chainsaw remake. Those kids look terrified, and I wanted to drop these kids into this scenario and have them just really deliver believable performances. Like, oh my God, what if this was happening to me? And they all did. They all brought it. They were all rock stars, and I'm so happy because that, again, that right there separates you from the campy ones. Because I didn't want this to be campy at all, because especially mixing these two genres, it could have easily went down that road, and we made sure that it didn't.
Yeah, you wanted Friday the 13th Part 1, not Part 5.
Thank you. Exactly. Or like Elm Street 1 versus Elm Street, the rest of them.
Pretty much. So I wanted to ask you as well, because you mentioned a while back, obviously your character has like a background in the Navy, the SEALs. Is that, do you have any background in that as well, or do you know people who were in the SEALs or the military?
I don't personally, but that being said, I like to bring as much realism as possible to everything I do. So, and I always end up playing detective, special forces, Navy SEAL, just because of the, my physicality, martial arts, and so I've actually had the privilege to train with some SEALs and train with some police officers on, on protocol, on weapons and stuff like that. Because I mean, it's as you see some of these films, and a guy's supposed to be this badass ex-special forces, and he's holding a gun like Charlie's Angels, like this, and walking around like this, and it takes you out of it, because that, like, okay, this guy is not, the real deal, and I try to do everything possible to bring that realism, or that heightened realism to anything, that I do, any character that I portray, or get the I mean, I look at, like, these guys, the SEALs and any armed forces and law enforcement, are out there literally every day putting their lives on the line for us, to keep us safe. And if I have the privilege to portray one of them on the screen, I want to give them as much realism and props and do them as much justice as I'm capable, because, that's my way of thanking them, in the smallest way, that if I'm privileged to portray a SEAL, I want to make this guy look as much as the real deal as possible. I get to go home at night. These guys are, getting shot at daily, so that's kind of why I try to make everything as real as possible when it comes to that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the thing about holding the guns. A lot of times too, you see certain. I won't name names, but sometimes you see certain actors, and you're like, "There's no way you would have a background."
Or going all gangster like this. It's like, yeah. How about when that shell comes out and injects into your eye?
Yeah, the kill shot.
Exactly. It's true, though.
Future projects. Do you have anything? What do you have for future projects? Are you working on anything else similar, like another more mixes of like horror and action? Or are you working on something different? Or?
I actually have it's funny. I have another script that I wrote. It's actually the very first script that I wrote, and it's gonna be a little bit more of a bigger budget because it's gonna be effects intensive. It's called The Cure, and it's a zombie film, and it's kind of like The Expendables meets Dawn of the Dead. Kind of like it's a team going into this island, and and there's just But that's the first one that I wrote. But the next one that I'm doing is a script that I wrote. It's called The Edge of Madness, and it's kind of like Die Hard in an insane asylum. There's an asylum that 2/3 of it is your normal, schizophrenic, went flew over the cuckoo's nest people, open door cells, they walk in and out, just kind of, mildly mentally disturbed people. But 1/3 of this place is like a supermax prison. It's, the worst of the worst, you're criminally insane. Your Dahmers, your Gacy's, your Bundys, your Lecters. And there's one character in there that is like kind of a Lecter character, like Mensa smart, just fucking evil. And he has just been deemed sane by the courts. So he's about to get transported out in a day or two to a regular supermax prison straight to death row. So what he does is he orchestrates this whole elaborate escape attempt where he lets out all the superbads into the general population. They start slaughtering everybody. It's just bloodbath pandemonium in there. And my character is a detective, and you come to find out that that this guy is in there, and you're like, why? And it comes to find out that this guy was on his last case tracking a serial killer, and he goes. Tracks him to this warehouse. The guy's got a knife to this little girl's throat. My character is drawn down on him, and he's like, let me go. And so I drop my gun. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll let you go. And then all of a sudden, SWAT fucks everything up. Helicopter lights come through. People are running up the stairs. He's like, you lied to me. He opens up the little girl's throat right in front of me. So I end up beating the guy half to death. Cops are coming in, and they're like, trying to pull me off. I'm kicking the shit out of the cops, and I just grab the little girl, start just like, crying, holding her. So they put me in there overnight for observations. That's how my character gets roped into it. And so I'm stuck in there doing this huge prison break. And my character is actually the very first fight scene. I'm in a straitjacket. So it's like, and so I have to fight my way, through one of these guys at the beginning, who's got a butcher knife, while in a straitjacket. So that's kind of cool. So that's kind of the next one. It's, it's kind of like I said, Die Hard in an insane asylum. It was fun. And as for, with the Horde though, also they told you, but I did all the fight choreography for it. You know, I did all, yeah, I did all the fights for that, and they turned out really, really brutal. And that's what I wanted because, like I said, you know, paying homage to the SEALs and everything. I wanted to bring a lot of mixed martial arts movement. I trained with a lot of mixed martial arts for the past 10 years with Boss Rutan, and so I wanted a lot of just, the elbows and the knees and, the arm bars and everything, like just to, because I wanted the audience to really just feel every blow, every strike, just, I wanted, I wrote the creatures, these men, the Horde, to be as vile as possible in look and in deed. They were just horrible, horrible people. So that when they get their comeuppance, when they get taken out, I wanted the audience to kind of cheer. And that's, I made these fight scenes kind of like that. So, that's, like I said, watch the Horde and you can kind of see how, how these guys get their comeuppance.
Yeah. And like the Horde, it feels very much like you were saying, it's a mix of a slasher movie and Rambo, I think, is the best way I can think of it to describe to someone.
And that's, if you got that from it, that's, then we did a great job, because that's what we were trying to do, is give you that 50-50, because if you're a fan of the classic slashers, you've got that. And if you're, an action fan, it satiates you too. And I kind of just try to mix the two in ways that made sense. I didn't want to do shit just to do shit. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But everything here is for a reason. Like when Jon, my character, he surveys the camp, and there's just tons of these creatures around. So he's like, all right, if I go in there and try to get all the kids out or whatever, it's suicide. So he devises this way of kind of baiting all of them out, so he can start taking them out, one or two at a time. And I'll leave the way I do that up to when people see it, but you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, for sure.
But again, my production team, the women from 313 Films, Beth Thuna and Doreen Bennett, they were amazing. And I Gabe Campese came on he's a really good, just nuts and bolts producer. He, anything that needed to be done, he got it done. And my buddy Joel Bennett was a producer on it as well. So I'm so happy with the team that we put together, because, without the team, it's just me with a script, honestly. My art department made this world look amazing. LB, Laura Beth Love, my DP, like I said, she made everything look great. Jared, my director, he's my bro, and he ran the ship. And and Tony Snagoff was our stunt coordinator. I did all the fight choreography, but Tony, was the one who brought in all the stunt people. And I want to thank every single one of those guys, because those are the guys taking the falls, taking the hits, and making me look like a hero. Tony did, that full fire burn that you saw, Tony did that himself. Man, it's like, Tony lit himself on fire to make this movie look good. And, I just want to say thank you to all those guys, because without those guys, there is no Jon Crenshaw being, the hero or the badass, because these guys are making me look like that. So I want to just thank everybody, and everyone came in, kicked ass, and we got the Horde.
Yeah, and like stuntmen are some of the I think stuntmen are some of the more under, I don't want to say underappreciated, but it's almost like under-recognized kind of.
Absolutely, that's the whole there was that whole thing with the Academy Awards, that it should be an academy for stunt actors, and it's true. These guys make these a lot of these stars look good. I mean, I've never been doubled in a movie other than once. I did a snowboarding movie, and I don't snowboard, I ski. So and even if they trained me for like 6 months, I couldn't do it. I mean, the guys that they had double A's were like Shaun White type guys and stuff like that. So, but that was the only time I was doubled. I do, in the Horde, I did all my own stunts, and fights, and like that big roll down the hill, with Pitt, we did that. That was full on us going for it, so, but stunt actors, yeah, I mean, again, they make the action heroes look like heroes, or even, I mean, sometimes it's them actually doing the action, as the hero, doubling, and so, without them, me or any other, action star doesn't have a job. So thank you to all of them.
And the only and like they do all the mainstream guys is basically it's stunt people doing all their work. The only one I can think of that does his own, I know there's more than one, but the big one I can think of that does his own stunts is probably Tom Cruise.
Cruise does a lot of his own stuff.
Yeah, which is insane considering the stuff I've seen.
Yeah, it is, and especially because getting the stuff insured and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's a tricky situation. But yeah, he's good about that, and a lot of people claim to do all their own stunts, and I know who doubled you. It's like no. It's everyone's got to figure. I mean, that's their game, but I'm legitimately doing all my own stuff. Just because I want it to be believable. The fight with Matt and I, that big fight at the end, between Jon Crenshaw and Stone, that Batman versus Bane fight, that's the big fight. And I mean, I was wearing a t-shirt and pants, so I couldn't be padded, and we couldn't pad the ground. And Maddie's like picking me up like a rag doll, throwing me. It's just like, so, and I'm hitting the ground, but it looks real because it is real. And Maddie, I couldn't pad here, and Maddie's kicking me on the ground and stuff like that. And we kept it safe. We kept everything looking real and brutal. And, that fight, that's one of my favorite fights in the movie. But, yeah, like I said, it was rough because you couldn't pad me and you couldn't pad the ground. So I had a t-shirt between me and the ground. But again, I'll do anything to make stuff look good on camera, and I think that fight really lives up to the big boss battle.
Yeah, it's the end of the video game, right?
Pretty much, yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's like you gotta have 3 lives saved up for that one.
Awesome. Okay, I'm just gonna do the wrap up here, and I'm just gonna keep you on the line for a second. Like I'll say the fake goodbye and then keep you on.
Yeah. I wanted to be able to do where places where people can follow me and
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna ask you for. I'm just gonna put it like, if you want to say it too, I'm gonna put it under the video as well. So if you want to do both, we can do both.
Okay. Yeah, I'd rather do both this way.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so just before I let you go then, where can people follow you, follow the movie, keep in touch with your social media?
Okay, to follow me, my website is paullogan.net. My Twitter is @realpaullogan. And you can also follow on Twitter the movie @thehordemovie. And my Instagram is paullogan88. And again, please go to thehordemovie.com. You can watch the trailer there. You can see pictures, behind the scenes things. And also it has all the platforms and the release dates of when you can watch the Horde. And again, please go out and watch the Horde. It's a fun roller coaster of action and horror melded into one. You pretty much be on the edge of your seat for the whole 90 minutes. And again, thank you so much to my amazing team and everybody who was involved in the Horde, production, post-production, and then all my friends and fans who have, spread the word about it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. Go see the Horde.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.